Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
On a quiet summer's day, a painter works his brush away on a canvas blue and gray, and the breeze in wheat fields sway. Past the home of your friend Gachet, should have been like any other day. You interrupted those boys at play. Now beneath this ground you lay. The color of life slowly fades away in your garden of silence. Forever may you stay. Color of life slowly fades away in your garden of silence. Forever may you stay. All your dreams on canvas lay in the hands of Joanna Prey. In love you worked your brush away on that final summer's day. On a quiet summer's day, a painter works his brush away on his canvas blue and gray, in a garden of silence you lay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome folk recording artist Michael Johnathon to the program.
How's it going, Mike?
It's going good, Jimmy. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. Where are you from, Michael?
I'm originally from New York, but don't hold that against me.
Well, I'm from New Jersey, so.
Well, there you go. We're twin sons of different mothers.
What part of New York are you from?
I was in Beacon, New York, right in the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
I was a stone's throw from the Hudson River.
Nice. Yeah, I know a few people out in that area.
Yeah, it's south of Poughkeepsie near Wappinger Falls, across the river from Newburgh.
Nice. I have a few friends in Wappingers.
Really?
Yeah, the Shanks, Donna Shank, Kenny Shank. You don't know them?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. They went to I think it's Roy Ketchum High School or something like that.
Yeah. Right. I went to John Jay, which is their arch rival.
Awesome. So you're from New York. Where are you located now?
I'm in a log cabin outside of Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, very cool. It looks nice. I love that. I love the woodwork there.
It's a beautiful old log cabin, and been here for a while and making it home.
Nice. So tell me about your musical background. When did you first get involved in music?
I was in my stepfather's garden shed, tripped over a rototiller blade, reached over to the wall and ran my arm down a saw. And the doctor prescribed the guitar as therapy for my left hand.
Wow.
As it healed. And so that's when I started playing.
And how old are you at that point?
I was 14.
Wow. That must have been scary though too, huh?
It was nerve-wracking. I I was heavily bandaged for about half a year.
Wow. And you started out on the guitar. Now, do you play any other instruments?
I'm holding a banjo right now. I play a little bit of the mandolin.
Nice.
And music is all I've done since 1989.
That is awesome. Now, I believe every band or artist is influenced by someone. Who are some of your influences?
Well, my next door neighbor was someone who claimed to be a musician, but he played the banjo. And we used to laugh at him when I was a kid. And he'd show up at our school. There was a thunderstorm with an axe to chop up fallen trees and limbs because he would heat his home with wood. And when I was 19, I got a job at a radio station on the Mexican border in Laredo, Texas. And they put me on the air at midnight, and I was playing an oldies record by Roger McGuinn and the Byrds called Turn, Turn, Turn.
Nice.
To everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season. I noticed that it was written by my neighbor. And I said, oh, that's who Pete Seeger is. Wow. So Pete was my big influence. I liked him. I knew he was a musician. We'd see him play, but I didn't realize, I had no clue who he was in the world's perspective. When I found out, it was very, very motivating to me to search out that history and that tradition that he was all about.
Wow, very cool. Now, your brand new album titled Garden of Silence. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. A couple of years ago, when the pandemic hit, to take up my time, you can see behind me, I started oil painting, and we sold enough of them for me to do my 5th book and an album called The Painter, which is a tribute album to artists. And that was a very successful project, and it got us through the pandemic. But the one song I didn't write, the book had Starry, Starry Night by Don McLean. It had a lot of songs that I wrote about art and music. The book was full of great stories of Van Gogh and Michelangelo and Rembrandt. My favorite is that Van Gogh tried 3 times to give his painting The Starry Night away. Mm-hmm. And nobody liked it. He couldn't even give it away as a gift. It was refused 3 times because they didn't like the painting. And today it's insured for over $1 billion. Wow. But at the time, nobody liked it. And the one song that I didn't write for that project was about Van Gogh and his final day of life. I wanted to write that song. And so Garden of Silence, I knew the album cover, I knew the title, I knew what would be on it. I just didn't have the title song. And I went to Detroit to see the big Van Gogh display this past December. And I came home after standing in front of the actual paintings like Starry Night on the Rhone and Dr. Gachet and all these great famous works of art of his. You're standing there in the same spot he stood with his brush when he was making these amazing paintings, and came home and wrote the title cut.
That's awesome. And
took me 10 as soon as I got home.
Wow. That's awesome. Now, that song is going to be featured in this podcast, Garden of Silence and the Seeger mashup. Now, you gave me the story behind Garden of Silence. What's the story behind the Seeger mashup?
Well, Pete, of course, is gone. He passed away, I think 8 years ago now. And his music never affected me. His lifestyle did. Okay. And I was coming to select the songs for the album. I wanted to do something in tribute to Pete because he's very influential. I appreciated his life and his work and the way he treated music. And I noticed that 2 of his most popular songs, Where Have All the Flowers Gone and Sailing Down My Golden River, are the exact same chord patterns. And I thought, wouldn't that be interesting to just merge them together into one song? And so that's what the Seeger mashup is. I'm taking 2 of his most beautiful and popular songs and merging them into one composition.
That's pretty cool. Now, recently, you won the prestigious Milner Award of Arts in 2020. What was that experience like?
The Milner Award is when the Commonwealth of Kentucky, it's the most prestigious, important award they can give an artist. There's no higher. And it's reserved for people like Wendell Berry or Gene Ritchie or James Still and these amazing legacy artists. And they called me up to say, if we offered you the Milner Award, would you take it? I thought they were joking. I mean,
Right.
who am I to? And I told him, I said, well, why don't you think about it for a couple of weeks?
Uh-huh.
Call me back. And 2 weeks later, they called back and said, yeah, we still want to give you the Milner Award if you'll accept it. And I was like, well, thank you, I guess. Okay.
Now,
And so it was sort of like the artistic version of a Grammy Award.
that's very cool. Now, who presented you that award?
Governor Bashir.
Very cool. That is awesome.
It is. It's a very nice, especially, and I'll tell you why it's very special.
Okay.
I'm not from Kentucky. I'm part of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
My children were born here, but I am not. And for them to award Kentucky's biggest arts award to someone who is not originally from here, I think shows the loving atmosphere that Kentucky has for the arts and for music and whoever might be making it in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think that makes that extra special for you.
It does.
That's awesome. Now, you also created the worldwide organization of song farmers. Can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, Jimmy, you more than anyone would know with your podcast and talking to other artists, the record industry is gone. We know it.
Yep.
What we grew up with no longer exists. The golden ring, the idea of sending your song to a record company and they sign you and you become famous. That's, you know, the stories of Dylan and Springsteen getting that those days are gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're over. Very few people would have thought 5 years ago that the biggest retailer of CDs in America was going to be Cracker Barrel. You know, all the record store chains are gone. There's a few mom and pop stores left, but people don't buy CDs. There's no CD players in cars anymore. They're not in your computers anymore.
Nope.
The public is getting used to streaming.
Right.
And the idea of music is almost completely gone. So what do you do with all those wonderful artists, all those passionate hearts and spirits, all these beautiful songwriters and musicians that so much love playing? Well, Song Farmers is an alternative for those who the music business has left behind. Those who are not going to get signed. They're not going to get an agent. They're not going to get a manager, but they're just as good as everybody else. Right. What do you do with it? You turn the clock back to when music was a community venture, when it mattered between grandpa and the grandkids and the front porch and the living room couch and communities and friends and neighbors.
Right.
And so the Song Farmers community is an alternative for musicians who still want their music to be important. And all they do is once a month gather their friends and neighbors in a big gathering and pick and sing the same song together at the same time.
Wow, that sounds real special.
It is. There's 91 chapters from Australia to Ireland across the United States right now. And what happens is amazing. Little Tellico Plains, Tennessee, tiny little piece of a town. They have upwards of 200 or more showing up at their monthly gatherings. Cabot, Arkansas, tiny, tiny little community. Started in Jim Talbert's living room with 6 people, and they went to the library because they kept overflow crowds, and it got huge. Florida started in a little community center.
Wow.
And now there's 13 chapters all over Florida from that one little community center.
That's incredible.
It is. People love music. They love to play. They love to be with each other. They love the spirit of it. And sometimes you have to remove money to find true value. That's what Song Farmers does. It removes the money. Let's be honest. You're not going to make a living. Let's be truthful. But it can be a powerful part of your life. And Song Farmers gives the template on how to make that happen.
That is awesome. Now, besides being a singer-songwriter, you also host a radio show. What's the title of the show and where can it be heard?
Well, you can go to woodsongs.com. Woodsongs is a live audience celebration of America's front porch. We do it in a 500-seat theater. It airs on over 500 radio stations.
Wow.
It airs on Forces Radio Network worldwide. It airs on RFD Television Network coast to coast. It airs on public television in about 68 million homes across America. It's also in schools. It's a big broadcast. It has a bigger audience than the Grand Ole Opry. And what I'm most proud of is that Woodsongs is all volunteer run. everyone from Judy Collins to Roger McGuinn to Bela Fleck to the Mavericks to all these amazing, incredible artists that come on the show every single week. They all come as volunteers. The crew is all volunteer run. The theater's donated. It goes free to the media and public radio. It proves my theory that love is the greatest transaction of the arts.
Wow, that is truly incredible that you're able to reach that many people with this program. It just goes to show there's a huge community out there, that share the same vision that you do. And they want to hear all these incredible stories and artists and their music.
Well, Wood Songs is performance and conversation. We do a deep dive into what makes them tick, why they're doing it. Last night we had a blind blues player.
Wow.
Who lost everything in her home, and now she has a brand new album come out. And another thing that we do is we invite a kid on every show.
Nice.
A young from somewhere in America comes on Wood Songs. Every week they get to play one song in front of seasoned touring artists, and they're just kids.
Mm-hmm.
That segment has turned out so popular on Wood Songs that we've started a second radio and TV series called Wood Songs Kids, which is devoted just to kids. It's sort of a Mr. Rogers meets the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
It's only kids on this particular new series. We just completed the first full PBS season,
mm-hmm.
and we're starting the second season next week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's March and folk.
I think it's very important that you're including kids in that as well, because as you know, if kids don't have anything to do, they tend to get in trouble. You know what I mean? And music, being involved in music and having something to look forward to, like what you're doing for them with this program, it probably keeps them out of trouble because they have something that they're looking forward to. They have an audience to go to and perform their music. Correct?
Absolutely. We're living among, going to what you were just talking about, we're living among the first generation in human history that gets its music and art as a flat screen, cell phone, digital ones and zeros interpretation.
Right.
And the world is moving to this artificial intelligence thing. It's getting worse. And the idea of real art and real music, organic front porch, sitting there and playing, is foreign to a whole generation of kids. And so when you bring these kids onto a broadcast showing that, look, you can play the mandolin amazing, you can play the banjo amazing, you can be a great guitar player or piano player or fiddle player, and you're only 9 years old or 12 years old or whatever, that's so old, it's brand new to this entire generation of kids. And that's what we want to show, that music is powerful and it is important, but it's supposed to be real.
Right. And a lot of schools have cut back on music programs, so something like this is probably extra special for them.
Well, it's funny you say that because we attach lesson plans to the shows, and it can go free to any classroom or homeschool parent in America.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yes, and it can be part of their curriculum studies. They can use Wood Songs Kids as their art and music teaching tool, but they're using other kids to show kids how fun this can be. And Jimmy, you should see the smile on these little boys and girls is incredible. And my little girl Michaela is my co-host.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm sure she gets a kick out of that, huh?
Well, you can go to woodsongs.com/kidstv,
mm-hmm.
and you can actually watch the premiere first show.
Nice. Now, you're the author of 6 books as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, in my spare time, I like to write books.
That's it? You're also the screenwriter for the upcoming Caney Creek motion picture. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, Caney Creek is probably the most incredible woman story to come out of the Appalachian Mountains. The producers pushing the movie describe it as Dances with Wolves of Appalachia.
Wow, sounds interesting.
And the Appalachian people have been horrifically treated. They've been horribly treated in media and movies. Everything is Hatfields and McCoys, or they're meth heads, or they're inbred, or they have to leave the mountains to save their families. And that is so not what the mountains are like. And Appalachia is probably the most beautiful, romantic, tender, angry, hurt part of America. And this motion picture presents that.
When is this picture coming out?
You know, it's your lips to God's ears. Who knows?
Now
it's a long process.
Oh, I'm sure. Now you're also a playwright of the Walden play as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. If your fans go to waldenplay.com, what they'll see is a performance play about the final 2 days Henry David Thoreau spent in his cabin before leaving Walden Farm. And I just wanted to introduce one of my heroes, Henry David Thoreau, in a less than brutally serious setting. The words that he speaks and the words that Emerson speaks in the play are the actual writings. I just took them and weaved them into a conversation. And it airs on Earth Day across the United States on public television stations. But go to waldenplay.com. You can watch the whole PBS production. It was done in a 1,000 seat opera house and high definition filming with great actors. And it was an amazing thing to see what you write on your living room couch come on stage. And then on your
that's very cool. Now you also the composer of the opera Woody for the People. That sounds interesting. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, I saw my first opera. It was La Boheme. I'd never seen an opera before, and I was amazed because here an opera is everything that I love. It's real actors and real singers and real French horns and real violins, and it's moving sets, and it's an audience, and it's in. I was like, how hard can it be to write an opera? And I was like, well, what would I write an opera about? And I thought, well, the day that Woody Guthrie wrote This Land Is Your Land, probably one of the most dramatic moments of the 20th century. And that would make a great opera. So if your fans go to woodyguthrieopera.com, you can hear the arias that were recorded with opera singers and a 50-piece symphony orchestra. And it was a lot of work, but it was worth doing.
What is it about music that makes you feel passionate?
It's food. It's spiritual food. It's emotional food. What is it? It's vibrating air. It used to be important until someone figured out how to take vibrating air and put it on a piece of plastic and into a financial transaction. That ruined what music was about, because they figured that in order to sell the financial transaction on plastic, they had to create something called a star. And to create a star, you have to convince the audience that they're not really qualified to make music. Only the star is. So if you want to participate in music, you have to buy the piece of plastic from the star. And that the star system, the record industry, is built on the effort to separate the audience from their own music as far as humanly possible, because that makes the financial transaction more likely.
Gotcha.
And so my whole thing is to return music back to the front porch. That idea of home and family and community. The front porch theme is everything that if you want to call it a career, everything that I do is about the front porch theme.
Nice. Now, if you could collaborate with any artist, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. My God. I've never co-written. I don't know how to answer that.
Stumped
I don't know how to answer. Maybe Pete. I don't know.
That would be cool.
I used to go to his house for dinner and talk to him and Toshi about all their projects. And, he used music to create the clear water that would sail up and down the Hudson to help clean up the Hudson River. He didn't do it for money. He did it because he wanted to have his homeland clean and safe. And he used music to do it. What an amazing thing he accomplished. And I would love to do a project maybe with Pete Seeger.
That would be cool.
They can't. but
Yeah, but if you could, you would.
You could, yeah, in a heartbeat. But you take what he did and you learn from it.
Exactly.
But learn from it, you try to put it into some kind of action.
I think you probably have already, right? You would say he probably inspired most of the stuff that you're doing now, right?
He took the lead, and I watched and I learned. But it's important. You can't just, Jimmy, you know this. The entertainment world is full of dreamers who don't actually do anything.
Right.
You have to put action behind your dream. That's what turns it into a reality. And it takes a lot of work to do this thing we call playing.
Exactly.
We call it playing, but man, this is a lot of work.
Sure
and
is.
Too many musicians that I know that are literally still sitting around writing their songs, vibrating air for 3.5 minutes, expecting some kind of adulation for it, some kind of standing ovation because they can vibrate air for 3 minutes. And I'm like, big deal. What are you doing with it? What's happening with it? What are you changing? Who are you motivating? What is it being used for? Vibrating air has a purpose to a point, but there has to be some kind of movement behind it.
Right. Now, outside of music, do you have any other hobbies or interests that you like to do?
Well, oil painting is big. 8-year-old twins, they're bigger. A cabin home is a big project to turn this old raggedy little log cabin into a actual home. Mm-hmm. It sits on 7 acres, and so that in itself is a big project.
Looks great though, from what I could see anyway. I love the wood. Yeah.
In a month from now, month and a half, we're going to have the 7th annual National Song Farmers Gathering, and the song farmers come from all over the nation to the Renfro Valley, Kentucky, the old historic Renfro Valley. And hundreds of song farmers get together to make their chapters better, and song circles and music jams and workshops and music lessons. And so that's a big thing to organize. Another thing that I started is called the Wood Songs Artist Picnic. Mm-hmm. And where artists in their hometowns will have a one afternoon picnic of only artists, no audience. It's painters, poets, authors, and songwriters. And everybody gets together for one afternoon, and everybody creates something brand new. And then at 4:30, 5 o'clock, they have a potluck dinner and a little presentation concert of everything that was created.
Wow.
Last year, there were 19 of them that happened around the nation.
That's incredible.
This year, there'll be more.
Awesome. Now, do you have a website you'd like to promote?
You can go to woodsongs.com. You can go to songfarmers.org. If you spell my name right, which most people don't, you can go to michaeljonathon.com.
Now, is there anything...
It's difficult. You got to work at it.
Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
No, I think it's really an honor that you, Jimmy, would devote part of your podcast career to what we're doing out here. I'm very grateful. And I say that sincerely. I don't mean that just because you were nice to me. Reaching the audience is very difficult. We're living in an age where AM radio is now going away. Mm-hmm. New cars coming out of Detroit don't have AM dial on their radio anymore. We live in an age where you can get a half-page story featured in the newspaper. Nobody reads it. Nobody sees it. Nobody even knows it's there. So reaching the audience has become very difficult, and it's the generosity of people like you and your podcast and others that make it. You're sort of the gateway between artists and the audience, and so you deserve a big thanks for that.
Well, I want to thank you, Michael, so much for coming on the show today and sharing your great stories and your great music with us, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that movie when it comes out and more great music from you in the future.
Me too. Me too. Screenwriting is hard.
I bet, brother. I bet.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Anytime you want to come back on, you got something new you want to promote, let's stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. You take care, brother. Bye-bye.
Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own. Yet I was never alone. Sunlight glancing on the water, life and death are all my own. Yet I was never alone. Where have all the flowers gone? Where have all the flowers gone? Such a long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Girls have picked them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Life to raise my sons and daughters, golden sparkles in the foam, and I was not far from home. Where have all the young girls gone? Where have all the young girls gone? Such a long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? They've gone to soldiers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own. Yet I was never alone. When will they ever learn?
The Record Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Howell Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.